Hey Floss Tube, welcome. It's Taryn. It is Sunday, July 30th. I don't know, I guess it's about 6 o'clock in the evening. I tried about, 10 times yesterday to record a message. But I went to bed Friday night with a horrible headache and woke up with the same horrible headache yesterday morning. And it was one of those things, where you just can't even think straight. So every time I tried to record, I was repeating myself and it was falling all over it. And finally, I ran out of time to be recording because we had to get to a memorial service. So I just gave up. And then Dax wanted to go for a drive after we got home. I finally got the headache under control, but it has since turned into a sore throat and generally kind of feeling like crap. So that's what it did while we were just out, not really doing anything yesterday. And we went to Kerrville, drove around there for a little while. I bought a couple things, but nothing exciting. We always tend to do those things late in the day, and by the time we get to a small town, everything closes at 5 or 5:30, so I think he plans it that way on purpose. Come on, baby, I'll take you. We'll go shopping. Wherever you want to stop. Oh, look, they're all closed. Dang it. That's how it goes. But we went to Old Tunnel State Park. I think that's right. Again, we went once before, but a thunderstorm came in, so the bats didn't come out. It's an old railroad tunnel, and there are about 3 million bats that live in the tunnel. And it started storming, so the bats wouldn't come out last time, so we went again, and the bats came out. We watched that, which we got there at just the right time. They came out like an hour before dusk. Who knew, right? I would have expected dusk, but not like an hour before, so anyway, we went and did that. Wyatt went with us, hanging out with the old folks, I guess. But it was nice. We came home and I went to bed because I felt horrible, so, and I woke up today feeling the same way. But regardless of how I felt today, we had to get the water heater, the replacement one. The company had sent it. It came in one day last week, and so we took advantage today, and we got up this morning and got up in the attic. I was going to say we got up this morning and went and did that before it got hot, but it's Texas in the summer. Yeah, we did it this morning when it was only like 150 degrees in the attic, so it's probably about 400 degrees in there right now. So, anyway, Wyatt and Dax's stepdad, we call him Poppy, got Addison's car running. We're going to drive it back and forth to work a couple of days this week to make sure until Dax feels okay enough to let Addison drive it again. And they pulled the truck into Bay 1. This Suburban is in Bay 2, our older Suburban. That's what I'm calling my driveway now. It's a 2-bay driveway, apparently. They pulled the gas tank off of the old Suburban because the fuel pump has to be changed, but it's been sitting there for probably 5 or 6 years. So the gas tank has to come off anyway and be cleaned out to get all the sludge. The lines all have to be cleaned out and all that kind of stuff. So they pulled the gas tank off to start working on that, and that's the work going on in Bay 2. In Bay 1, I think they're going to put new brakes on. They replaced something that had to do with the power steering, and so anyway, we're moving through them here at my house. You got a broken down vehicle, get it over here, put it in line. They're working their way through. I think Poppy's supposed to be back tomorrow or the next day. I don't know, we'll see. So I have not done any stitching this weekend. None whatsoever. I did a little bit during the week, but most of it was last weekend while I was here mostly by myself. So, but that's okay. Stitching is stitching, right? And I don't want to work on stitching when I don't feel good, because then it turns out bad. And then you have to do it again. So, anyway, on to stitching. I worked on my Liberty balloon piece out of here, Country Cross Stitch Designs, and it is a sampler book. All of the patterns are samplers, but I'm doing this one, and it's the middle of a sampler. It's not obviously a sampler. Before I just had the trunk for the tree, and I had put in a box, but I was looking at the wrong tree, so the box was like way over here. So I had to rip that out, and so I put the correct thing in, and despite what this looks like, it is a little girl. One day soon, she shall have feet. So I'm going to outline these, because it's a bunch of little different motifs, so I'm going to outline them as I go. And then maybe she'll look like a girl with feet, because right now she certainly does not. As usual, I worked on Norman Rockwell. Oops. I got quite a bit done. I worked in her apron. You can see some different colored stitches coming out, maybe, and a little bit more filling in down here. I'm getting down to where mostly what I'm going to have is the rug to fill in. And I think that comes like to right here. It'll come out straight, right around in here, around, and I've got her skirt to fill in her apron. I've had people, and thank you for your comments, tell me that they're going to miss this one when I get it finished. And while I do not necessarily have that much actual cross stitching done, this one goes slowly. I work on this in the mornings when I listen to my Bible study, which is about, it ranges 20 to 30 minutes a day. So there's still going to be plenty of time for y'all to see it for the cross stitching, but that will be followed up by a crap ton of back stitching. So fear not, you will be able to see this for a while. You will still be able to gaze upon it. While they were gone, Dax and Wyatt, last weekend, Saturday, I just grabbed a bunch of different ones I wanted to work on, and I carried them in there and set my happy ass in the middle of my bed, and I spread my cross stitch patterns, things I had kitted up out, and I worked on stuff for a little bit until I got distracted by wanting to work on the next one. And on Saturday night, when I got tired and wanted to go to sleep, I pushed everything over to Dax's side of the bed and went to sleep, and I got up the next morning and there they were, and I worked on them and watched Floss tube videos or TV or whatever I felt like for a little while on Sunday before I had to get dressed and do stuff. I did a little bit on Friday, but not that much. When Dax got home on Sunday and all that stuff was still sitting there, he's like, well, I guess I don't have to worry about you having another man in my bed. It's like, nope, no room. But anyway, I worked on the Christmas Gentleman. This was a 2016 Stitch Mania piece that I started, and I worked on it for about a half a second again in 2016 Stitch Mania. I've gotten more done since the 2016 Stitch Mania than I did in either Mania stitching combined. So this time I just worked, see, I think I got like this line like this in the 2016 Stitch Mania. And I think I got the green right here in 2017 Stitch Mania. So everything else has been since then. This time I did the white, and then I started down on Santa, and that is this one right here. And that color really is kind of a purpley kind of color. But anyway, I'm loving it. I love the way that the colors are showing up on that fabric and everything. I worked on my wedding row by Bent Creek. Last time I said that I was getting close to being able to start a letter, so that's what I did. I put in the E. I had done, I think, this little swirly here, so, and the blue heart is what had been done before. Things are falling. So I did this, and I decided to go ahead and start. I wanted to just do the letters all the way across, but I decided that if I went ahead and did the little ribbon looking piece at the top, then as I go across I can get it done all the way done, you know, and not do the fun parts like the letters and then have to go back and fill in the not as fun part like the ribbon. Last Saturday, not yesterday, last week was National Cowboy Day. Thank you, God, for cowboys and Wrangler jeans. Amen. Yes. So I worked on this. It's called the Texas Ranger. It is one of the pieces where it's printed on there and then you fill it in. So it's printed on there and then you highlight just portions of it with cross stitch. This was a kit I got off of eBay, and the woman had already started it, so I had to go back and rip her stitches out because I stitch from right across to the left and back again, and so if I didn't take them out, then there would have been one little section where the stitches were different. So I tore that out, which is what I spent most of my time doing. All I actually stitched was right here on his ear. So yeah, I know it's amazing. And I started that because it was National Cowboy Day, and I knew I had it, so I pulled it out and started that one. I have no idea when I'll probably work on it again, but pretty sure the cross-stitch police will not show up, but I don't know. I worked on this one. All I have is a pattern, so I call it the Love Giraffes because they're in love. It was, it's from dailycrossstitch.com, and if you haven't done their stuff, most of their patterns are really pretty easy. Most of them don't have any back stitching. Like this one only has 4 colors. They're not too involved or anything like that. That might be where I got like that plaid cat that I did that was in, you know, black and shades of gray or whatever a while back. But, if you're not signed up with them and you're not familiar with them, if you sign up with your email address, every day they'll send you a cross-stitch pattern, and it's free for 24 hours. You can get online and download that one for free. But their patterns are only like $3 or $4, maybe $3 otherwise. So, I mean, it's not like they're out of this world expensive anyway. But, and I think they have an Etsy store, but I'm not sure about that. But all of that aside, if you go to their website, for $10 you can sign up for a year and you have access to all of their patterns, and then they also have patterns that are exclusive for members who've paid and signed up. So for $10 a year, you download 3 or 4 patterns, you're done. I mean, so I did that. That's what I did. Anyway, I started the drafts. It was a new start. This is the one that's in the front on the pattern that will take up the bulk of what you see. I had this fabric laying around. I had no idea what else I was going to do with it, so I figured Giraffes in Love was good enough, and if they go outside of the little square part, that's fine. Like I said, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. The thing that scares me is I'm not so great with getting things centered, even though I count, so we'll see. But anyway, look at in the giraffe. The little spots on the giraffe are hearts. How cute is that? So, anyway, I worked on that because who doesn't need giraffes and love in their lives? Come on. We all need that. Okay, that was all of the cross stitching that I did. Like I said, everything I worked on just about was, except for the Norman Rockwell, I think everything I worked on was last weekend. I worked on my linen and threads piece enough to get like 3 stitches in it, and it may have been more than 3, but my thread knotted up, and it got this giant, horrible knot in it that I couldn't get out. I was working on it in the car, and I had walked off without any scissors. And although I contemplated it, I decided against it. I did not gnaw the thread in half, like I said, but I thought about it. So I just folded it back up, put it back in its little carry case, and set it in the car, in the floorboard, and forgot about it for the rest of the week. So I didn't make any progress. So I'm going to guess, since today's July 30th, I will not be finishing that by July 31st, the March section. So it looks like getting more than halfway was the best we can hope for. But I did get February finished, so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to hang on to that feeling of euphoria. Did not touch my Texas panorama at all. Because Sherry is a show-off, apparently, she's decided she's finishing her Texas panorama by the end of August. Screw the rest of us, I guess. I don't know. Since I haven't made it through the X yet, I'm feeling relatively certain that won't be happening here. So, Northern Expressions. She's doing one of Alaska. So I guess we're going to boot Sherry, and she and I are going to have a stitch along, if anybody else would like to join. We want slow stitchers, okay? So that was all the cross stitch. That was it. I did get my other pattern. Remember last week I told you I'd gotten the wrong one? This is the one that I had ordered. And I got it. And like I said, she sent it to me without wanting her other one back. I still feel guilty about it. It's another one where it's printed and then you fill in, like up here, and it's more embroidery than cross stitch, I guess. You fill in on the blue on the quilt, and then up here you fill in some detail, like on the doily, to make, you're doing accent pieces with your stitching. So I actually am looking forward to getting this started. And then last week I was watching Floss Tube, and oh, before I get to that, when I was in McDonald's, when I was in Hobby Lobby looking for the frame for the Ronald McDonald House piece, which I've got to get that painted, another young girl was in there. A young girl was in there, because I was certainly not one of them. A young girl was in there, and I went to grab a couple of colors of floss, and she asked me if I knew how to stitch. She's wanting to learn embroidery. She's probably college age, around 20, I would guess. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm sorry. It's getting hot. I hope the fan doesn't make like super loud noise on the video. But anyway, she wanted to learn embroidery and was in there trying to pick up some things, and she had questions, and so I helped her, you know, pick out just some plain cotton fabric to get started on. The difference between needles, pearl cotton versus the regular floss, and why she might want to try different things, and places to look to find stitches and how-tos and all that kind of stuff. So I told her that for some of us who are old, it's nice to see someone young coming into the craft, and that it was a pleasure to be able to help her out. So that was fun. Anyway, so Saturday, Sunday, whatever day it was, I don't know. I was watching Floss Tube, stitching along, and then I got to Karen's Crafts, and I'm still way behind, so when I get to somebody's stuff, I'm watching 4 or 5 videos at a time most of the time, and one of hers was on crochet, and since I do that, I decided, well, I'll watch that too. Well, then I wanted to crochet, so I did, and I have to find the right way. I did crochet, and I finished my bag, y'all. Got this weird little thing going on here because I have a gaping hole. I have things attached, and I don't know why I have a gaping hole. But this will be on the bottom of the bag when I do the lining. So I am going to just do like a chain stitch to get this attached to something. But I got my flowers lined up so you can see it better. I guess not. Anyway, regardless, it's done. I'm so excited. I've got to find, I know I've got muslin around here. I just want a simple inside. I had thought about doing it, lining it in some kind of colored fabric, but I think I just want the tone-on-tone that muslin will give me. And I think in the pattern that they had crocheted some straps, but I don't want that. I think I might buy the leather straps. The leather straps to sew on there. So anyway, that is done, and I'm so happy. I've cut out so many flowers and redone so much of this bag. I'm pretty sure I have crocheted it twice. I ran into Hobby Lobby and I got some sock yarn on clearance. I've tried knitting socks from a couple different patterns, and I hated it. I knit too tight. Like, I broke the rubber tip on some circular knitting needles one time because I knit too tight. And I know buying the bigger needles and your piece will come out fine, but when it's so tight that you're breaking the freaking needles, then I'd just be breaking bigger ones. And yes, I can go with metal, but it's so tight, it's like fighting against something, so it's just not worth it. So I wanted to crochet some socks, and this yarn is so soft, it really is. It's a sock yarn. I think it says Premier, I don't know. Anyway, I bought 2 skeins, but then I found a pattern that says it only takes 1. So I don't know, we'll see. I started it, and I know I'm too picky, because so much crochet stuff, if you use just regular yarn, it's super bulky, and I didn't want really bulky socks. Not right now, that's not what I'm looking for, so I got started with this. I'd show you, but it's in the house, and I've only done like this much. But anyway, so I'm kind of excited about that, and I hope it works out. This was a piece, a Save the Stitches piece from quite a while ago. I had several of them, and I had already FFO'd the other ones. This one's been sitting here stitched together, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. And I put the baker's twine around it, and I did it in the corner like this because I had the big loop to hang it, kind of like Sylvia at Becca's Land does, except for when I finish mine, it looks stupid. Sylvia's look awesome. So I took that out and I changed it to a bow, and I cut some holly leaves out of green felt to put up here with the bow, and I thought I'd use little tiny red buttons like for the holly berries, and I did that, and it looked worse than hideous, so I took that off. I bought these. As you can see, I haven't even opened the package because when I put them up here, I didn't like it, so I didn't even open it. And finally I settled on this little candy cane button because this fabric, the red and white stripes, and because I was tired of messing with it. So there you go. And the button is covered. The bow is all glittery and green and all that stuff. The buttons came with a whole pack of buttons. It's the ones that had the gingerbread men off the other piece that I still haven't FFO'd. By the way, thank all of you for your suggestions on those two pieces. I'm going to try some of them. I just am still angry at the pieces, so I haven't done it yet. They're still in trouble. The funniest suggestion was, and I forget who said it now, I laughed so hard, said to put welcome on here after my rant about welcomes. That cracked me up. I may do it just to do it. I don't know. Anyway, so I FFO'd that. Anyway, these buttons and the little gingerbread man, and there were other ones in there, came from the scrapbooking department. And I know that buttons you buy over there you wouldn't want to put on clothes or something that you're going to wash a lot, but this isn't going to be, and it's not going to get a lot of wear. So if you don't find it in the sewing section, go look in the scrapbooking section because they might have something for you. I made some needle minders. This one is a Mill Hill kit that's about 1,000,000 years old. I made it before my kids were born. I used to have a 4 or 5 foot Christmas tree that I kept up all year, and I decorated it for holiday seasons, whatever. And this has been sitting in my box, Floss box, unfinished. My door's opening by itself. So cute. Anyway, this has been sitting in there. It was for the summer tree, but I haven't put that tree up much since I had kids, which, that's ridiculous, right? You decorate a tree all those years when you don't have any kids, but keeping the kids out of it became more trouble than it was worth. And then with cats in the house, just no. So, this was one I did for a summer tree. For my summer tree, I had some of these beaded kits where I made ornaments with them. For the garland, I bought a package of the brightly colored lays, and I cut them and put them all together in one long piece to make garland. Just stuff like that. I had a Columbus Day tree even. I bought walnut shells. I bought walnuts, and I cracked them in half, and I used a half a shell with a toothpick glued in it that had a little triangle piece of paper, white paper, to make the sail, and they were little ships that hung on the tree for Columbus Day. I've been mental for a long time. I'm just saying. So, anyway, this has been sitting in a floss box staring at me, and so I decided to make it a needle minder. I glued a magnet on the back, and then, as you can see, I put my magnet under the felt because I figured that I wanted it finished off in the back. And I wasn't sure that how well the magnet would stick to the felt. I figured it would stick to the perforated paper under the beads better than it would the felt. So I stuck it under there, and that doesn't seem to bother it at all to stick onto something. But so there you go. If you have little Mill Hill kits and you don't know what to do with them, make a needle minder. I also got these buttons in the mail, and I couldn't resist. I saw this one and I did it. I mean, they came in the mail, I think on Friday, and immediately, or they may have even been in yesterday's mail, I don't know. Immediately, I had to come take this button and make a needle minder. How cute is that? How freaking cute is that? Seriously. And I have several. I have a whole bag. They're all different, but I wanted that one, so I did that. I'm trying to remember what else. Oh, you don't get to see it live because, like I said, I tried yesterday. I bet I recorded 5 or 6 times yesterday, and I was just beyond stupid. I mean, nobody could have watched them. Anyway, I did draw. You don't get to see a live drawing, I'm sorry. But I did draw the winner for the Country Cross Stitch book. Thank you everyone who entered. I appreciate it. I really do. My winner was Maureen Byrne. Maureen Byrne, congratulations. I will be getting in touch with you. If you do not hear from me, get in touch with me, because if you do not hear from me, it means that I have become too technologically challenged and could not get a message to you, because it could happen. Okay, I think that was it. Somebody, and I forget now who, I should have written it down, let me know that chances are my snail has laid bogus eggs. Since there's only one snail in there, hopefully she wasn't fertilized already when she came to live here. I think she's been here long enough that she wouldn't have been, and that chances are I just have non-productive snail eggs, which thrills me to no end. Thank you very much. I'm trying to remember other things. Oh, Friday afternoon, Dax and I went to Green Hall. Very well could be part of why I am sick. Green Hall is an old dance hall. The radio station does a thing up there on Fridays, and we go because it's $2 beer and we're cheap. But I like to go and just sit there, have a beer with my husband, and hang out. The problem with Green Hall is, like I said, it's a dance hall. Green Hall is a very, very old dance hall and has no air conditioning, period. So Friday it was 108 outside. Another friend of mine had told me that the band that was performing on Thursday night, because the shows don't start until like 7:30, but we go in the afternoon, so that's not, usually the bands are setting up. It was 93 degrees inside the dance hall when they were performing Thursday night, so that lets you know what it's like. It's like going and having your beer in an oven, a very warm oven. So, but Ray Wiley Hubbard was there Friday night, was going to be the featured performer. He's from around here. He lives here in Wimberley, so he's pretty well known in this area. I don't know that he's well known at all outside of this area. I think he has kind of a cult following. We had to laugh because he came to the concert when he showed up to, you know, get set up and everything before the concert, in one of those giant tour buses. Like I said, he lives in Wimberley. It's 30 minutes. He had time to go do the sound check, drive back home, get dressed or whatever he was going to do, and drive back to the concert. But Dax was like, well, maybe he brought the bus this close because, well, for one thing, it's air conditioned while he's waiting. But also, he's like, maybe so he can get cleaned up before he does his show. If you're not familiar with Ray Wiley Hubbard, I have never, ever seen him. Not in videos, not in interviews, not live and in person, where he doesn't look like he spent last night sleeping on a park bench. Actually, it looks like he spent like the last week sleeping on a park bench. All the time. So, I can't imagine that he needed to get cleaned up for that. But anyway, like I said, around here, I know he kind of has a cult following. And the whole reason I'm even telling you this is because one of the women who was there to see him looked like Yvonne, the Night Owl Stitcher. I mean, Yvonne, you have a doppelganger. And she's in Texas. If Yvonne, the only difference, if Yvonne bleached her hair blonde, they would have looked exactly alike. I even got on YouTube to show Dax one of Yvonne's videos because I was like, oh my God, she looks so much like this floss tuber. And when I showed him Yvonne, he agreed. So there's somebody out there impersonating you, Yvonne. But she has blonde hair. Don't go blonde and I think you're safe. Unless she does something really bad, people think she dyed her hair darker and she's you. So, I don't know. I'm just saying. So that was kind of funny. That was interesting. Yeah, not a lot of acquisitions. Got some little flower buttons. Don't ask me what I bought them for. I have no idea. But I got them for like 6 cents on eBay. So, and I got some black Ada. Because I have a pattern for one of the chalkboard designs, so I wanted black. And I thought about dyeing it, but since I dyed that, my purple, white, and pink floss, yeah, I don't think I want to. It's still in timeout too, see? When I get pissed off at a project, you're just done for a while. I can't take it. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything. I do have one other thing. Like I said, catching up on Floss Tube. And I don't know, McKenna and I must be somehow connected because McKenna was out buying shoes. I was out buying shoes. And I had no idea until I was trying to catch up on McKenna's videos. And I saw her new shoes. Now, I did put mine on. I'm not a shoe wearing kind of person. I'm a flip-flop wearer. But by God, if I can be barefooted, I'm actually going to be barefooted. Even if I wear flip-flops to the office, I set them under my desk and I walk around barefooted. Because that's just the way I am. Anyway, it's like McKenna and I were both out buying shoes at almost the same time. Within days of each other anyway. And I had no idea until I just saw her video last week. But I thought I would show you my shoes compared to McKenna's. Here are mine. Look. Wait, let me get over here so you can see them better. How's that? Huh? What do you think? Those are my shoes. What do you think? I don't shop at the same place as McKenna does because I bought my shoes at Target and they were on clearance for $10. So, while we may think alike, we are worlds apart. Thank God my husband likes the girl next door look because I used to work out in the corporate world where, and it was back in the day because a lot of corporate worlds have relaxed since then, I had to dress up and I had to wear dresses every day. I actually worked for a guy, and women weren't allowed to wear pants, period. But, and I had to wear high heels, and I did. And then I stayed home to raise kids, and now we own our own business. Yeah, I've gotten rid of most of them. I barely own high heels. So there's no going back. I can get dressed up when I have to, but I don't want to. So anyway, okay, that's it for real. Thank you everyone for stopping by. Thank you for all of your wonderful comments. Thank you seriously for the ideas for finishing my two little things. I really am going to do it. I am going to try some of the things that have been suggested. But right now, really, I'm still just pissed at them. So that's where it stands. And I'll get over it eventually, and I'll get to work on them, and we'll all be good, and everything will be fine. So I guess now I have to go cook dinner because nobody else is going to. That's just how it is. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.